Hello there. Thanks for joining me today. What I uncovered this morning is so downright insane sounding that what I'm going to be doing is record it as I go along. There's been a lot of talk over stealing black babies for the illegal markets, right? Sex markets, maybe their blood, maybe their organs. Um, wow, this is something else. Um, and all of the theft of children coming out of Haiti. A lot of money in those organs, right? Do you realize this? People with melanin in their skin, which gives them darker skin color, actually, interestingly enough, are more wanted in the organ business because that color skin makes the transplant go easier. So there is a distinct advantage from getting organs from darker skinned people, and likely the darker, the better. I started out just looking into cholera. What a wild story this one is. Let me see where I'm going here. Cholera. Um, I'll just give you my impressions up front here. Cholera, to me, you can get sick from the water and throw up and get diarrhea. That's basically cholera, and I'll get into all the technical reasons why I'm saying this in a bit here. The cholera you get from dirty water and you get sick, right? Well, what have they done in Haiti? Well, the UN introduced cholera there, and I'll have more reports about that. The US, the UN, United Nations, and this is all documented, okay? They introduced cholera into Haiti. Well, what do they do when you have cholera? Well, they claim that it's highly contagious, right? Well, it is contagious if everybody's drinking the same water, if you get what I'm saying, right? So, by claiming that cholera is so contagious, if you or specifically your child comes down with cholera, basically just throwing up and having diarrhea, they can claim that they need to be isolated, right? Because of this so-called contagious factor they bring into this story. So by claiming it's infectious, that means they can remove the children from the families to treat them. So what happens then? Well, the body never gets returned to the family because the body is so-called contaminated with cholera. So then they send all of these white body bags to take the bodies out of there, right? Well, the bodies get transported out of there. So essentially, you don't get your body back because they claim that it was so toxic. Well, let me ask you this. What about taking organs while a person is alive is the way to go, okay? Um, but there's a lot of other things that they can take that you don't have to be alive for, like skin and other things like that. But we're talking, and I'll give you some prices here. We're talking the big ticket items, right? Because kidneys on the black market can go for around 200,000. And let me see. Few U.S. patients on the kidney wait list will get a legal opportunity to save their lives. In 2013, only 16,896 kidney transplants were performed in the US, while over 100,000 people were on the waiting list. So kidneys can go up to a couple 100,000 or more, okay? And keep in mind, the person that they get the kidney from, in the case of Haiti, they would get it for free, right? Because they would say, hey, your kid's got cholera, we're going to take it, right? Livers, 157,000 typically. Liver disease, including alcoholic liver disease, hepatitis B, and cirrhosis, are on the rise in the US. As of 2015, approximately 30,000 Americans die each year from chronic liver disease. Okay, if you were to sell your liver today, it would bring about $157,000. If your liver is healthy, you can live without part of it, and apparently the rest will grow back. Well, this is what they say, right? Now, I wouldn't take this. So, what they say is they can just slice off part of your liver, okay? Heart's about $119,000. And most people don't have over 1 million available to save their life, and the black market makes more affordable. A legally obtained heart is worth 119,000. Corneas, 30,000, big on the black market, and then the rest is just kind of so, how long after death can organs be harvested? Typically, when a person suffers a cardiac arrest, the heart stops beating. The vital organs quickly become unusable, excuse me. The vital organs quickly become unusable for transplantation. But their tissues, such as bone, skin, heart valves, and corneas, can be donated within the first 24 hours of death. Which organs can be donated after death? Tissues, I think I just read that. Well, wait a minute. Tissues such as cornea, heart valves, and bone can be donated in case of natural death, but vital organs such as heart, liver, kidneys, intestines, lungs, and pancreas can be donated only in the case of brain death. So essentially, they have to get that body while it's still alive, right? So, interesting thing about melanin, the powers of black skin pigmentation. The word melanin comes from the Greek word melanos, which means black. Melanin is found in the heart, liver, intestines, muscles, nerves, and in 12 location centers within the brain of black people. Pigment melanin increases the speed of brain and nerves, messages which are transmitted throughout the bodily network. Derivatives of melanin can be found in the blood, hormones, and cerebral spinal fluid. Melanin can also be found in the oceans, the soil, our food, particular greens like bananas and eggplants. Melanin can rearrange its chemical structure to absorb all energy across the radiant energy spectrum. Now, here I'm going into a little bit of stuff which people might consider kind of out there, but just stick with me here, okay? There's something to this stuff. So, this includes energy such as sound, radar waves, TV waves, microwaves, thermal radiant heat, visible light, X-rays. Melanin is influenced by light rays and sound vibrations and by the electromagnetic fields of the earth. Melanin is the most important, most complex, and the most perfect molecule in the body of man. The black skin of African people is falsely attributed to the sun and heat of Africa. Actually, in reality, the blackness of the African skin comes from the highly excited pineal body of African people and not from the fact they are from Africa. And I've done shows about the pineal gland, and I have a list called my top podcasts, and that is on that list. So, pineal gland. So, what they're saying here is this, that because of the electromagnetic fields of the earth, melanin is the most important and most complex and most perfect molecule. And I had thought this also. I had thought that black people got their darker skin over time to adapt to the sun and heat of Africa. But it goes on to say that actually, in reality, the blackness of the African skin comes from the highly excited pineal body of African people and not from the fact that they are from Africa. The location of this eye, which is the pineal gland, which is the center of the brain, is called the cradle of God by the ancients. Hence, the black of the skin is neither a curse of nature, a hue of light, nor the opposite of white. Instead, the blackness of the skin demonstrates 1. The complete absorption of visible light, state of darkness, by the pigment melanin. 2. Of acts to protect the dermal skin from the harmful effects, solar radiation, and processes. 3. The ability to manufacture the mineral calcium that goes to the bones of the body. Black-skinned people, otherwise called Africans, Egyptians, Nubians, Ethiopians, etc., are endowed by their nature creator with pigment nerve cell endings functioning from it's called the Malgaphian, Malpighian layer of the skin, thereby empowering people of black skin pigmentation with the divine inspiration to feel the inner vibration generated by the skin, environmental, space, and time. So I got here in such a roundabout way, as usual, right? I was simply looking at one little thing. I started looking at Haiti for some reason and cholera. Um, And then I took this wild turn, and before I knew it, I was discovering that it's actually the skin of dark-skinned people being dark helps transplantation of organs. Yeah, something else, isn't it? And in particular, organs of children. And it gets crazier. So let me keep going here. So, I found this article. Remember John Podesta? John Podesta, who right now is back in the White House, and I think he's in charge of all of the money, all of the money they're spending on energy, I think. Anyway, John Podesta has a bucket load of money that he's now back in the White House spending. And John Podesta is the name you'll remember from Pizzagate. He came out of the Clinton White House. I'm just going from memory here. Geez, so many of these criminals. But anyway, so I found this evidently, blood from darker skinned children also is tastier and better to drink. So yeah, it's insane. So let me keep unpacking it, and it will sound less crazy as I go here. So I found this piece that says, our source has witnessed stealing hundreds of black babies at the borders. Why black babies? Why could we feel the predator's saliva running off their mouths in John Podesta's emails when talking about black babies? The answer is walnut sauce. Walnut, WALNUT sauce. Walnut sauce, okay? Because in an email, and I have it down here below, John Podesta referenced walnut sauce, okay? And I'll keep reading here. This was my big question in 2016, which took me through medical researches, but I didn't have it organized until last night when some information at the border told us they are stealing black babies right after birth here, hundreds of them. The person who is still not safe and we are trying to find her a shelter can't be disclosed, but her statement urged me to get organized and put this out. The adrenochrome produced by the pineal gland of the black race and Asians is thicker and more creamy. And then pineectomy experiments have revealed that the pineal gland is hyperactive in children at puberty. This can be another reason for the criminal interest in children between the ages of 12 and 16. Experiments indicated that the pineal gland functions as a neuroendocrine transducer, translating neutral, excuse me, experiments indicated that the pineal gland functions as a neuroendocrine transducer, translating neural impulses into hormone responses responsive to rhythmic diurnal phototic stimulation. And this is the interesting part. So, another recognized factor, according to the report, is melatonin. The pineal gland regulates the entire endocrine hypothalamus and or pituitary gland, and many hormone-related substances have been identified in the pineal gland, which melatonin is the most important one. Melatonin is another changing factor in adrenochrome structure. Higher the melatonin, thicker the adrenochrome texture. In another report on American Journal of Medicine Genetics, 1985, page 69, we read, melanin in the brain and body does more than just make it darker. Melanin on the inside as well as outside protects against DNA degradation. It enhances, speeds up the transmission of messages to the brain and body. So melanin on the inside as well as and that would mean our organs, right? As well as outside, protects our DNA against degradation. And it says, take into account that melatonin is the substance that regulates melanin. Pineal calcification starts in early childhood and progresses with age. According to the report, the frequency of pineal calcification increased steadily throughout the life in males and fluctuated markedly in females. The study indicated that pineal calcification was rather a common phenomena among blacks. Only 30% of blacks show no calcification. Apparently, the low incident on skull X-ray films was due to proportionally large numbers of undetectable calcification in the pineal glands of blacks. Pineal glands, melatonin, and or peptides could affect the menstrual cycle by its inhibitory influence on ovulation. The marked fluctuation of frequency in various age groups and more severe degree of calcification in the pineals of younger females probably reflect the interaction of the pineal and the relatively unstable female hormones. This view is also in keeping with the report using different methods. So my understanding, according to this part of the report, is that the melatonin can have an effect on women's sexual cycle and therefore on their entire sexual activity. In another part of the report, we read, in ancient pre-Cartesian medicine, the pineal gland was regarded as a memory valve, supported by the observation that men often shook or struck their heads as if to free a stuck valve to remember something. It is conceivable that a pineal stalk area, let me see, what are they talking about here? So they say that there's calcification in stalk areas, and I'm not really sure. It is reasonable to believe that the calcification seen in the stalk area due to chronic tissue damage, yeah, I don't know. There could be something that happens there. And here is the quote from John Podesta. This is his direct quote. I'm a man of simple pleasures. I like playing cards. I like watching old cop shows on TV. I like cooking and I like running, Podesta says as he prepares a no-frills pre-race Italian meal, pasta with a walnut sauce, a simple marinara to serve to his running group, the Progressive Ninjas. Podesta says President Obama, who is said to exercise on a treadmill, ought to overrule the Secret Service and find a place to run outside. Podesta enjoys running along the creeks. I don't know what this has to do with anything, but anyway, so John Podesta was talking about walnut sauce, okay? He also has another famous quote from John Podesta. It's better to be the guy with a fork than the guy on the table. And this memory valve, they say the MK Ultra created this mind control system. They didn't do mind control, but anyway, I'm sure most of you have the answer, yet let's repeat it for the minority who don't. Because the pineal gland is the human's memory valve, and MK Ultra system directly plays on the pineal gland by unnaturally activate this gland through sexually abusing and sodomizing the victims. So disruptive action can also, I guess, disrupt the pineal gland. And that's where they get this idea that, and I'll keep reading here, it is conceivable that the pineal stalk area is more subjected to chronic, repeated physical strains of torsion and or traction, especially for those who involve more violent physical activity in their lives. One can result that the process of adrenochrome production is violently done in a gradual buildup of these circumstances, and it does not occur at a fast pace. The children subjected to this inhumane cruelty are kept in productivity situations, which means they're not only traumatized during the ritual abuse, but they are also pre-traumatized in order to produce more pineal calcium. Imagine a hen house with baby chicks waiting to go broody. The process is almost the same, with the difference that the baby chicks are not abused before the killing. Sad truth. And then their summary. According to Journal of the National Medical Association, the Black and Asian races' pineal glands are more calcified. The study reveals race and melatonin are two factors which affect the amount of calcification in the pineal gland. The report also reveals that the pineal gland, which was referred to as the memory valve in ancient days, is hyperactive in children at the age of puberty. Melatonin affects the sexual cycle of Black women, and also the sex hormones and trauma both intensify the process of the calcification of the gland. The report proves that Black and Asian races have a more calcified pineal gland because of the high amount of melatonin. Something else, isn't it? Let me see what else I have here. Yeah, something else. Let me see here. I'm going to put this on hold for a second here. So I'm guessing the theory is melatonin has something to do with the blood they may want to get out of people because it has a different texture for darker people. So that would be a reason to want to steal the darker skinned children. And also, there's something about, and I'll keep exploring it here. Let me go look for the file. I found a couple things. I found CNN confirms human organ theft in Haiti. And let me get that article here, and I can tell you, and that will also be linked below, because this talks about, this is where I just kind of thought, wow, okay. And this is from, what date here? 2010. Haiti, and this is from a Twitter post. It says, Haiti's prime minister just told me he has reports confirming child and organ trafficking happening in Haiti now. And this was from Christian Amanpour on CNN. The title is CNN confirms human organ theft in Haiti. Who's responsible? Haitian Prime Minister Jean Belvier said Wednesday in an exclusive interview, and this is just, I know it just gets nuts. But anyway, so yeah, who's in Haiti with the organs? Well, Israel. The news of Israel stealing organs from Haitians has been doing the rounds, but I don't want to comment on it. However, when the president himself weighs in, you have to ask the question. Let's recap. Ynet News published an article about a warning from an American citizen from Washington who accused the Israeli Defense Force, or IDF, in Haiti of stealing the organs of the earthquake victims, and he said these acts of theft are aimed for the sole purpose of profiteering. The Times had an article highlighting the nauseating efforts of the Israeli PR machine, which contrasts Israel working with aid agencies in the natural disaster in Haiti while simultaneously obstructing the very same aid agencies in the Zionist made catastrophe in Gaza. In addition, people sitting in Tel Aviv are working overtime, pumping thousands of emails to news organizations around the world, ensuring they cover the work of Israeli doctors doing good acts. I don't know. So yeah, let me put this on hold and go find the other article. So yeah, because remember, they all travel to all these crime scenes on their own, right? So let me close out this one. Korea. I started looking at Korea. I'll get back to Korea later. And that's how I got started on this whole thing. So my file was hidden in the Korea thing. So, cholera. No, I'm not going to talk about cholera now. Yeah, so conclusion on the organ stuff. And then I'll get to the, yeah, I am going to talk about cholera, excuse me. But conclusion on the organ stuff. Studies show that melatonin can reduce organ and species dependence, and the use of melatonin decreases graft rejection. So I'm guessing that melatonin, people with darker skin make for better transplants. So because I'm winding all around here, I started looking into the people in, and I think I have it on this page, cholera. References to cholera appear in European literature as early as 1642. It was used by European physicians to refer to any gastronomical intestines resulting in yellow diarrhea. Okay, so they used a common word already in regular use to describe the new disease. It was not until the 1830s that the name for severe yellow diarrhea changed in English from cholera to cholera morbus to differentiate it from what they knew as Asiatic cholera. Okay, now, so early outbreaks in the Indian subcontinent are believed to have been a result of crowded, poor living conditions, as well as the presence of pools of still water, both ideal conditions for cholera to thrive. The disease first spread to travelers around the 1817, and here is the deal. It comes from filthy water, right? First cholera pandemic occurred in Bengal region of India, starting in 1817 through 1824. I hope you see where I'm going here. I think cholera serves a couple purposes. Cholera looks like to me like it served as an effective kill box, right? Get people cholera that you may not be able to kill by sending them off to war. And they also got a lot of military people catching the cholera. So cholera kind of went all around. It got the military people, it got the regular people. And then they say they had the third pandemic in 1846 until 1860, extended to North Africa. So I may just scroll down here because some of this stuff isn't important. What I'm thinking is this. So let me go scroll down here. Cholera cases are much less frequent in developed countries where governments have helped to establish water sanitation practices and effective medical treatments. In the 19th century, the US, for example, had a severe cholera problem similar to those in some developing countries. It had three large cholera outbreaks in the 1800s, which can be attributed to the Vibrio cholera spread through interior waterways such as the Erie Canal and the extensive Mississippi River Valley systems, as well as the major ports along the eastern seaboard and their cities upriver. The island of Manhattan in New York City touches the Atlantic Ocean, where cholera collected from river waters and ship discharges just off the coast. At this time, New York City did not have an effective sanitation system as it developed in the later 20th century. So cholera spread through the city's water supply. Cholera is a historical term, and pay very close attention to this, okay? Cholera, Cholera morbus, is a historical term which was used to refer to gastrionitis rather than specifically to what is now defined as the disease of cholera. I'm thinking that cholera it presents itself by dirty water, right? So you get diarrhea and you start vomiting, right? Well, they it said it first came as gastrionitis. Well, what is gastrionitis? That was first used in 1825. Before this time, it was commonly known as typhoid fever or cholera morbus, among others, or less specifically as gripping of the guts, surfeit, flux, coli, bowel complaint, or any one of a number of other names for acute diarrhea. Cholera morbus is a historical term that was used to refer to gastrionitis rather than specifically cholera. I don't know. I'm reading this, this whole thing is a legal construct and a big word game, right? I'm reading this to think you get some dirty water, you get gastritis, which is you start throwing up and having diarrhea. And somewhere along the line, they start calling it cholera, right? So I guess um, what they can do, they're basically taking what looks like a common flu from dirty water, making people think that it's contagious. Then you turn over all these bodies of living people, right? And they end up in body bags. And nobody knows because where'd the bodies go, right? Were the bodies taken out live for these organ donuts under this guise of this, hey, we got cholera going on, when it's really just a stomach flu? How was the cholera outbreak stopped? They determined that cholera is not contagious from person to person, but is spread only through unsanitary water or food supply sources. The cholera epidemics in Europe and the US in the 19th century ended after cities finally improved water supply sanitation. So yeah, I think it's really gastronitis. It's just they take everything. Like right now, all of a sudden, people are now talking about this COVID thing, and we're really talking about the flu, right? So kind of a ginned up flu, and they're acting like, oh, it's some big disease. It's called COVID. Well, we used to call these things colds and flus, right? So, okay, so early outbreaks in the Indian subcontinent are believed to have been the result of crowded, poor living conditions as well as the presence of pools of still water, both of which provide ideal conditions for cholera to thrive. The disease first spread around trade routes. Well, probably they were probably taking it around on trade routes to kill off the competition, right? Anyway, if you want to know more about all the cholera epidemics, let me see here. Yeah, cholera became widespread in the 19th century. Since then, it has killed tens of millions of people. I think that cholera is just another form of a kill box, right? And this kill box, remember when they supposedly kill people in the military during wars, if they kill them and take them in while they're still alive, right? And then claim they died, well, that means they got their organs, right? So cholera became widespread in the 19th century. Since then, it has killed off millions of people. In Russia alone, between 1847 and 1851, more than 1 million people died from the disease. See, now we're calling it a disease, right? It killed 150,000 Americans during the second pandemic. Between 1900 and 1920, perhaps 8 million people died of cholera in India. Cholera officially became the first reportable disease in the United States due to the significant effects it had on health. There's this person called John Snow in England in 1854 was the first to identify the importance of contaminated water as a source of transmission. Cholera is now no longer considered a pressing health threat in Europe and North America due to filtering and chlorination of water supplies, but it still strongly affects populations in developing countries. In past, vessels flew a yellow quarantine flag if any members or passengers had cholera. No one aboard a vessel flying a yellow flag would be allowed ashore for an extended period, typically 30 to 45 days. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm oversimplifying things, but I don't think so, or I certainly wouldn't be bringing it up, right? Um, because here again, cholera is a historical term that was used to refer to gastrionitis. And gastrionitis is you're throwing up and you have diarrhea, okay? So let's get to the part that got me spinning here, okay? Organ trafficking. Organ trafficking, Haiti. Cholera victims for body parts. Cholera is an infection of choice for those unfortunately slated for organ harvesting. Cholera doesn't really harm the organs, but allows them to pull the plug when they claim the child is at death's door. Haiti occupied, the international horrors meted out on the helpless. And this, I'll just read this through, so just keep an open mind, okay? The UN soldiers are proxies for the US war in Haiti. 7 months after the earthquake, they imported the cholera bacteria. And this is absolutely not disputed, okay? You will find a million things that cholera was introduced in Haiti, but they claim it was introduced by the United Nations, okay? So, okay, 7 months after the earthquake, they imported the cholera bacteria. The U.S. has used bioweapons and tested chemical weapons on its own people. Haiti presented an even easier target for its nefarious biowar activities. In fact, both Russia and Venezuela, and there's links attached to this article, so Russian and Venezuelan officials claimed immediately after the 2010 Haiti earthquake that it was geoengineered by the U.S. Yes, I've been saying earthquakes are dynamite, okay? The Russian northern fleets in the area at the time of the Haiti earthquake reportedly said the Haiti earthquake was caused by a flawed U.S. Navy earthquake weapons test before the weapons could be utilized against Iran. The laboratory. Haitians call the CIA U.S. intelligence their duopoly. UN, NGOs, and the deep state banksters the laboratory. So Haitians call the CIA, U.S. intelligence their duopoly. The deep state, the bankers, they call the laboratory. Haiti has a long history of being the guinea pigs for U.S. laboratory tests. Haitians have been the victims of their organ trafficking, child sex rings, prostitution, foul vaccines, rape, forced pregnancies, free trade zone import quota frauds, death squads, drug smuggling, money laundering, gun trafficking, human trafficking, and humanitarian frauds in Haiti. And another thing I was just thinking about, I've been talking in the past about all these UN troops, peacekeepers going around raping all the women. Well, then they leave behind all the children behind. See how it works? Is this kind of like how they're out in the open doing some baby production? Go into these poor areas, get the UN troops to impregnate the women, then they have the babies they can steal from them. I mean, these people will go to big levels and small, cheap levels to get their hands on children, right? So if you get a bunch of UN soldiers over there, you turn a blind eye, let them rape and get all the women pregnant, and there you go. You got a bunch more children, right? So let me continue reading here. Cholera, an infection of choice. In a recent interview I did on the Sharon Westall show, I exposed the Eurasian, which is the Bank of International Settlement, Vatican, clandestine genocide being carried out against the black masses in Haiti. One commentator, going by the handle of Poa, made a notable intervention with some interesting points and compared Haiti's vast resources with that of China and North Korea. He also noted that cholera is an infection of choice for those unfortunately slated for organ harvesting. Cholera doesn't really harm the organs, but allows them to pull the plug when they claim the child is at death's door. There's this person called Azili, know about the elite's bloodlust in Haiti, its resource mongering, use of sex as a tool of war to disconnect Haitians from their forefathers' culture and revolutionary ancestry, human trafficking, and the clandestine organ trafficking of cholera victims as body parts. In his comment, Pube reveals himself as perhaps an insider or student of the Haiti laboratory and tells us this. It is far worse than this person depicted. The inhumane slaughtering of her people at the hands of Dynacorp, Oregon, UN peacekeepers, and the trained gangs that rained terror upon the populace to keep them in line. Speaking about Haiti resources, Pa'ab further notes that The research is already completed in the value of the land masses and her resources, but the value in truth is deceived to Haiti and their leaders. The elites are totally out of control. I know them all too well. This pie's precision in its entirely raised some interesting questions. Made me wonder if white folks on the right instead of the left are firmly about war in the Middle East and imperialism in Haiti with the Clintons. We're ready to digest. I don't know. Um, yeah, a lot comes under the veil of war, right? And then you get this deal going with an earthquake, and then you open the whole country up to exploitation. Um, so, and what happens with chaos is that everything is running out of control, right? So a lot of confusion, so people can think that. So I'm going to see if besides biological toxins such as UN imported cholera in Haiti, rape, psychological abuse, and dislocation are a form of warfare that has destroyed Black families and colonized communities since the era of transatlantic trade. So yes, I mean they throw all the Black men in jail, all the women are, okay, so this is not a war on drugs or terrorism, but on blacks, the poor, and the non-white worldwide. Um, Melanin-rich organs are superior in value and highly valued by the vampire elites. They believe themselves superior, but need black bodies to feed their for-profit prison industrial complex and eternal wars and worldwide stuff. So they talk about, I'm going to scroll down here because when they get just a little bit too crazy, there's no point in reading it. So this is a good part. Haiti cholera, a biological weapon for organ trafficking. Oftentimes, the laboratory, which are the deep state manipulators, tests out their bioweapons on defenseless Haitians first and then take it global. And they had an article attached, war-torn Yemen suffers world's greatest cholera outbreak. In our work at this other place, they say we have evidence and do know about cholera as a cover for organ trafficking. The plastic cholera body bags are used to transport the dead UN cholera victims from Haiti to the U.S. for the universities, pharmaceutical companies, and their UN NGOs involved in the criminal trade. Some may not know where the organs are coming from, but they'd have to be brain dead to not know it's a melanated organ. And that was exactly my touching off point. I was thinking, what is a melanated organ? So now we know, right? So this person went on to say, some of you will remember I noted that a reliable source informed us back in 2010 at the onset of the cholera outbreak, the USAID's first relief dollars for the cholera victims went to buy 200,000 body bags. You may also recall the incident when the doctors at Mirabalas were questioned about why the bodies of those who were said to die of cholera were not returned to the families of the cholera victims, at least for a funeral. We were suspiciously stonewalled. Then finally told it was because they were getting properly buried by the doctors and staff in body bags to avoid further contamination of the earth. And when we said, why can't the grieving families who had wanted us as lawyers and justice activists to ask these questions, why can't we attend those funerals or disposal activities? No answer. More on stateside, we have confirmation of the uses of those body bags filled with Haitian remains, a bit as described by this communication below. For I've known the international criminals who cut out kidneys from victims, put it on ice in their igloo coolers, dump the bodies down the ravines, fly out the organ parts on military planes to their wealthy waiting clients in the Middle East, New York, Florida, and California. A great portion of human trafficking happens at oil rigs, at over 1,000 U.S. military bases around the world, and on the high seas for the pleasure of sick oligarchs and their servants who use the women and children and sometimes discard the bodies at sea. The UN is teeming with pedophiles. And they have an article about humanitarian aid workers raping, molesting, and abusing Haitian children. And then this has really got my attention. Haiti orphanage hoax, because I had said in the past that there were supposedly hundreds of unauthorized centers for children in Haiti. Maybe they still are, but the Haiti orphanage system, like the U.S. foster care system, are places where defenseless children are sitting ducks for molesters and all sorts of predators. The predators hide at Haiti orphanages, which are little more than private fundraising instruments for the enrichment of the owners. It's not about the welfare of the children, but making a living off the misfortunes of abandoned children. And I don't know if this is true, but I'll read it for you. The Jesuits and Catholic Church own more land in Haiti than other entity except for the Haitian government. There's no doubt their schools, properties, and Order of Malta affiliated orphanages and guest houses in Haiti are a hotbed for pedophilia and traumatizing Haitian children, not just through their fake history as do gooders, but through rape and sexual molestation. This, I've often said, explained what's wrong with the local, mostly lighter skinned Haitian elites who historically attend the prestigious Catholic schools and seminaries in Haiti. The socially class conscious Francophonian Haitians grow up with a disdain for the black masses and to be morally repugnant elites, blackmailable, mentally colonizer, and mostly survive to sell the country off as trusted operatives for the laboratory. What's wrong with them is akin to people with Stockholm syndrome, victims who bond with their oppressors at the expense of their own self-interest. The CIA laboratory folks learned their MK Project type mind control techniques from the Catholic Nazis and their church. I don't know about that, but 6 examples of human and organ trafficking in Haiti. And then it says here are 5 examples. Okay. 1. At the seaside Calico Beach Hotel in Haiti on the weekend of February 4th, 2017, Haiti police rescued dozens of women and girls on the verge of being sold. There were 12 suspected human traffickers involved. The victims were 31 young females, including 20 minors, but the foreign participants were not even held. The 9 Haitian nationals who were detained were subsequently released. The victims were lured to the hotel room, drugged, and raped, but no one was charged. The UN has immunity, so their employees, if they were caught, were released. There's no ever any public information about their names. So, and then they point out this other thing with the CNN article. We've already talked about that. And they said in this article, the broadcaster seemed absolutely clueless that the eyes she found on ice in a Haiti quake hospital is evidence that the rescuer were conducting a nefarious side hustle. So, touching the tip of the iceberg, immediately after the January 12th, 2010 earthquake, UNICEF documented around 15 cases of children disappearing from hospitals and not with their family. Well, and then there was other people who were charged with kidnapping 33 Haitian children, but this is all just the tip of the iceberg. So, basically what happened with Haiti was, Haiti was taken over by the French, and when Haiti got their independence, they made a very bad deal. That deal meant they were then enslaved to the French to pay off all that money. So that's how Haiti basically is still poor and driven to all of this horror. So that's about all that I have to say here. I think it appears pretty clear to me that there is something. Um, I have to put this on hold and let me cruise through this real quick. I'll close it out by talking about this theory these people have because it doesn't seem like totally insane to me. Um, Unfortunately slated for organ harvesting. Cholera doesn't really harm, but allows them to pull the plug when they claim the child is at death's door. The elites, such as David Rockefeller, impregnate women to harvest organs later out of their own offspring to keep in certain orphanages for securing body parts that will surely not reject their donor bodies when they come back to kill or take out selected organs. A virtual new race of biracial children are now being raised in Haiti for the very purpose of organ harvesting for parents who will never see the children except when the child organs are placed in the parents' bodies in their later years of old age or when in need of new liver or other organs. The exploitation of resources is far more comprehensive. The value of the land masses of Haiti, the gold, the oil, and comprehensive resources is about as much as all of that. In North Korea, they say a value of 40. I don't know about any of this stuff. Uh, yeah, they have it. I think that you could wander into a whole bunch of different insane aspects of all of this, but I think the main takeaway point for me is it answers a huge question, like why are they stealing particularly black people's body parts, right? Because they've discovered that they transplant better. Just really, it's always a simple answer, right? Not the crazy insane one, but just a simple answer. So they have better success with black body parts, is how I read all this, and I see that cholera was just another version of something you get flu-like symptoms from dirty water, right? So of course, in all of these cases, instead of giving any of these countries and people clean water, instead they give them vaccines, they give them cholera. They give them, UN troops who rape them. They get everything that's going to deter them from having a decent quality of life, and everything that is going to be doing exactly the opposite, right? So we're in a dual world. So they say they're giving them help. Well, what does help really mean? Well, they talk about all these things. Oh, you got these vaccines for cholera. Well, how about if you just start off with clean water, right? You don't need to twist yourself into knots over something, but they have to twist themselves into knots because if they didn't make cholera like some deadly kind of crazy sounding disease, then it would be much harder to declare that we got to isolate you from cholera, right? We got to take your body somewhere else. So, yeah, it's something else how they could use a simple thing like cholera to isolate a population to effectively steal their organs. So, yeah, this explains a lot for me today. I hope it was answered some questions you might have. But yeah, why do they want all of these black people's organs? Well, because they know that they're easier to transplant. And then also, we've come to another aspect of this pineal gland part. And over on my website, I have a tab called Top Podcast. And I remember that I put there's only about 30 or so shows listed over there now, but to keep you from having to dig around for the pineal gland show I did, it's over there. I believe that they're making our pineal glands almost non-working with all this pollution. That's a whole need for fluoride, but I covered all this in that particular show. So the pineal gland is our ticket to our higher sources, whatever those are. So that is the thing they want to block off the most. So it's kind of interesting how this pineal gland also wraps all around the black population, right? And then leads into these organs and stuff. So I just thought I'd record this show while it wasn't a mumble in my brain because something else just looking at one thing and then all of a sudden, well, that's the answer to that one. So we are all being heavily guided. I mean, I am barely functioning at this point from being so sick. So but I get the information and I respond to it because I'm not otherwise tied up doing other distracting things, right? So that is why they want to keep us distracted, full stop, 24/7, because when these other random thoughts enter our mind that we can then go and explore, well, it gets blocked off by all these voices on social media. And now they're coming out full force. I mean, geez, this week they're releasing the Epstein records. They're talking about bringing Julian Assange here. They're bringing out all of their circus acts, okay? So be careful out there. Access your own pineal gland. That is where your resources are going to come from, not from the trash and stuff they're tossing our way. So I hope you got what I got out of this show today. So thank you for joining me. Quite interesting. Never saw that one coming. Never made any association. I guess I kind of thought that maybe they were stealing more black people for organs and stuff just because they could, right? Not knowing it was a pretty specific reason. So I will be back with more. I'm just trying to open these files and go through them one by one. I think next I have Korea to get off my list. So be safe out there and goodbye for now.